Once again, welcome ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Hey Dave, can't hear you.
Can't hear it. I'll just adjust this might happen to be a bit today. How's that? And a particular welcome to the Bendigo Highland Pipe Band, the Clan McClay Pipe Band, Mark Edsel, our musician for today, Lieutenant Luke McClay, our special guest, teachers, students and staff from Barham High School, students and staff from the Wakool Burraboi Primary School, the Barham Community Choir. Thank you very much, ladies. Any gentlemen there? John, you qualify for that? Ladies and gentlemen.
I think so.
That's Elvis.
That's the oldest section of the choir.
Yeah.
Today, of course, it's Anzac Day, the anniversary of the Anzac landing at Gallipoli in 1915. The Anzac landing had such an effect on the Australian people that we gather here today and remember it 111 years later. We not only remember Anzac Day, of course, we remember all military, Australian military. So I will continue, and the first part of the program is the National Anthem. So please stand for the National Anthem.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today we meet to honour and remember all servicemen and women who served in various different wars and peacekeeping operations, and how their bravery and sacrifice have impacted the way we live today. I'm going to ask you a simple question. What is Anzac Day for you? You hear it every year, but what does it truly mean? Not so simple, is it? Some of you may say it's a day to remember those who sacrificed their lives so we can live the life we do today, which is true. Another percentage of you may think of the small things like the little red poppy that grows in the old battlefields, or the bugle that sounds as the sun rises on a new dawn, or all the paintings the local kids would paint in honour of their Anzacs. You would be correct. Anzac Day is such a vastly different day for everyone. For me, Anzac Day doesn't stop after today, or Remembrance Day. For me, the spirit of Anzac is part of who I am and the things I stand for. Loyalty, endurance, community spirit, and mateship. Everything they stood for back then, and everything they're remembered for now. Soldiers are people who are remembered for their courage, bravery, the literal definition of soldier. But back home, there were people who were resilient enough to hope that their loved ones would come home, whether it was their husband, son, father, or friend. Lots of them did. Even more didn't. The community of Wakool Burraboi was built of returning soldiers and the determination we showed in a difficult time. Back then, neighbours would lend a hand to those in need. We still do. And that's why I believe our community is as strong as it is. Even with new people, we welcome them and help them out, even if they didn't ask. And that is something to be proud of. When I was little, I remember standing at the ball ring with a local preschool teacher, and not understanding why everyone was there and why everyone was being so hauntingly quiet. But I could feel the solemn feeling that always stuck around on the 25th of April. I also remember when I was a child at the local primary school and doing actual artworks that would be displayed on Anzac Day. I remember being confused when I was younger of why anyone would risk their lives to protect this country. It's only now that I'm older I realise why. Soldiers of any kind didn't do this for glory, or to be known as some sort of war hero. They went out because they felt it's what they needed to do for the country that gave so much to them. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is only the tip of the iceberg of what Anzac Day truly is. And I bet if any one of you were asked this question, this speech would be completely different. Thank you, and let's be forget.
Thank you, Liza. That was a great speech. And now we will sing the Recessional. Please stand. from the Wakool Burraboi Primary School to provide a student perspective.
We are current students at Wakool Burraboi Public School. My name is Charlie Chambers and this is Thomas Hamilton. Each year the Wakool Burraboi Public School is asked to share a student's perspective at our Wakool Anzac service. We stand here with pride today to share with you what Anzac Day means to the students of our local schools. What does Anzac Day mean to you? The answer to this question will be different for each of you. But Anzac Day is a time when everyone takes the time to remember and think about those who sacrificed their lives at war. Every Anzac Day, we proudly wear our school uniform and gather together in a hall for a special service. Wearing our uniform shows that we are respecting our school and standing together as a community, just like we are here today. We sit side by side to remember and honour the people who have fought for our country.
Before the service, some of us choose to wear Anzac badges carefully pinned to our shirt. Others may wear family medals. These symbols are important. They show some of us have family members. Our pride and our respect and gratitude for those who served. Some of us have family medals. Matters to all of us. It's a time we come together to remember the bravery and sacrifice of those who gave their lives for our country.
On Anzac Day, we also think about how lucky we are to live in a safe and free country. We are grateful that we don't have war here today. We remember how Australian and New Zealand soldiers work together, showing courage, teamwork and mateship. We honour these with pride. In 1940, Lindsay Clemo was appointed to Wakool School. He was aged almost 25. The school had an enrolment of 40 children. In 1941, Lindsay Clemo joined the Royal Australian Air Force. He was flying officer of the RAAF. Unfortunately, he was killed in action in over raid of Germany on 20th January 1944, aged 28. He was the only serviceman to enlist from Wakool and not return. The Wakool's Anzac service would march to the school each Anzac Day and to lay wreaths by Lindsay's photograph. The practice ceased when the War Memorial flagpole, or ring, was established somewhere around the 1950s, early 60s in the centre of town. An award is each year to a student for academic achievement in recognition of William Lindsay Clemo's service to the Wakool school and country. Over the years, this award has still is a very special award to receive.
At school, we have created some special Anzac themed artworks that represent the seriousness of the war and remind us of the many soldiers who served. Our artwork shows the courage and sacrifice many made by soldiers who fought at war for us to learn about bravery, respect and pride.
As we march, we listen, think, remember and show respect. We move together as one school, one community. As we walk, we hear the sound of the bagpipes, helping us reflect on the meaning of this day. Sometimes we follow a horse which reminds us of the animals that served in war. Horse, donkeys, mules and camels carried food, water, ammunition and medical supplies. Dogs and cats even helped by keeping trenches free from rats and mice. During the service, we laid a wreath. This is an important tradition on Anzac Day. The wreath is a symbol of respect and to remember for those who served and gave their lives. It reminds us that we must never forget their sacrifice or the impact war has had on families and communities. After laying the wreath, we stand quietly with our arms crossed and head bowed to show respect.
As we stand in silence, we listen to the bagpipes bugle, the last post played, followed by a minute or two of silence. Then we hear reveille, also known as the Rouse. These moments help us reflect and remember.
We also take time to think about what soldiers went through. They left behind their families, didn't know if they would return. They crawled through trenches facing danger every day. Many were injured and many saw others suffer and lose their lives. They heard gunfire and explosions and cries for help, along with constant noise of planes flying overhead. These were very real and difficult experiences.
Some of us enjoy making or eating Anzac biscuits. These biscuits remind us of the soldiers and people back home who supported them. Today, they are a special way we remember the bravery and spirit of the Anzacs.
After the service, some of us may spend time together with afternoon tea, visit the local pub or club. Adults may attend the traditional game tour later today. These moments help us connect as a community and continue to remember the meaning of Anzac Day with pride.
Thank you for listening to our student perspective. Lest we forget.
Thanks very much, Charlie and Tom. That was a great speech and very well presented. And credit to the staff at the Wakool Primary School, Wakool Burraboi Primary School. And now we have our special guest, Lieutenant Luke McClay from the 1st Artillery Regiment based in Brisbane.
Good afternoon. I'd like to thank the Wakool community for having me here today. It's a genuine privilege to be asked to speak on a day that holds so much meaning, not just nationally, but personally for so many people standing here today. Anzac Day has a way of making you slow down a little. Not in a dramatic sense, but in a quieter, more reflective way. It's one of the few days in the year where people take a step back from whatever's going on in their lives and give some thought to something much bigger than themselves. And I think the reason it carries that weight is because at its core, Anzac Day isn't really about the events or dates or battles, but it's about the people. We often talk about Anzacs in terms of values, courage, mateship and sacrifice, and those words matter and they always will. But behind every one of those words was a person. Someone with a family, with plans, with a future that probably looked very different to how things turned out. And yet, when the time came, they stepped forward. Not because they saw themselves as extraordinary, but because they were ordinary people placed in extraordinary circumstances who chose to do their duty. That's what gives this day its meaning, and I think it's also what makes it so personal for so many of us. For me, that connection runs directly through this community. My great-grandfather was a soldier settler here in the Second World War. One of the many who came back from service and were given the opportunity to build a life on the land. On paper, that sounds like a clean transition from war to farming, but in reality, it really would have been that simple. These were men who had spent years in conflict, who had seen and experienced things that don't just fade away with time. And yet, instead of stepping away from responsibility, they stepped straight back into it. They built farms, they built families, and over time they built communities like this one, Wakool and similar regions around Australia. Not quickly and not easily, but steadily. And that steady effort is something I think is easy to overlook, because it doesn't come with recognition or ceremony. But it's what shapes places like Wakool. My grandfather grew up here, and even the McClay name is still part of this area. Something as simple as McClay's Lane is a quiet reminder that those contributions didn't disappear over time. They become part of the fabric of this place. And I think that's an important part of what we reflect on here today, because service doesn't just happen during conflict, and it doesn't necessarily end when the uniform comes off. For many people, it continues in quieter ways, to the lives they build afterwards, through the example they set, and to the communities they helped create. That kind of service doesn't draw attention to itself, but it has a lasting impact. For me personally, standing here as a serving officer of the Australian Army, the idea of service across generations is something I'm very aware of. My father also served, retiring as a Lieutenant Colonel, and growing up around that environment, you start to understand that service isn't about what you do in a moment, it's how you carry yourself over time. It's about consistency, responsibility, and being part of something that extends well beyond the individual. While the nature of service has changed over the years, the responsibility hasn't. The expectation remains the same in many ways, to do your job properly, to look after the people around you, and to contribute to something bigger than yourself. And I think that idea of being part of something bigger than yourself is really at the heart of Anzac Day. Because when you look at those who served, that's what stands out. They place the needs of others ahead of their own, sometimes in small, everyday ways, and sometimes in ways that came at enormous personal cost. That's not something we're asked to replicate in our daily lives, but it's something we're asked to remember. And more importantly, it's something we're asked to carry forward in our own way. Not through grand gesture, but through the way we live day to day, in how we treat the people around us, in how we contribute to our communities, and in how we take responsibilities for the roles we hold, whatever they may be. Because remembrance isn't passive, and it's not just about attending a service once a year, it's about taking a moment to reflect, and then letting that reflection shape how we move forward. And I think that's where communities like Wakool play such an important part. Because here the connection between past and present is still very real. It's not some distant or abstract. It's visible in the land, in the families, and in the stories that are still told and remembered. That matters because over time there's always a risk that remembrance becomes routine, and the meaning starts to fade even if the tradition remains. But places like this help keep it grounded. They remind us that what we're reflecting on today wasn't lived by distant figures in history, but by people not so different from ourselves. So as we stand here today, it's worth taking a moment not just to remember what was done, but to really understand it. To picture those early hours at Gallipoli, where young Australians and New Zealanders came ashore in the dark, disorientated, under fire, climbing steep ground with little more than instinct training and the man beside them to rely on. There are countless stories from that campaign, but one that stands out is how often soldiers risked everything simply to bring a mate back from the line. Not because they were ordered to, but because leaving someone behind wasn't something they could accept. There are accounts of men crossing open ground under fire to carry the wounded, of stretcher bearers working for hours without rest, and even moments where brief, unofficial truces allowed both sides to recover their fallen. These weren't grand strategic victories, and they didn't change the outcome of the campaign, but they showed something far more enduring: character under pressure, and a sense of responsibility to others that outweighed fear. And when you reflect on that, it gives a deeper meaning to the idea of service. It wasn't just about fighting, it was about loyalty, about standing by the people around you when it mattered most, and about doing what needed to be done, even when it was difficult, uncertain, or dangerous. That's the standard that was set, and that's the standard that has been carried forward ever since by many Australian men and women over numerous theatres of war. Because in the end, that's how their legacy continues, not just through memory, but through action, through steady, everyday contributions that might not seem significant on their own, but over time shape something much larger. In many ways, that's exactly what the generations before us did. They didn't set out to build something extraordinary, but through consistent effort, responsibility, and a commitment to something beyond themselves, that's exactly what they created. So today, we remember, we reflect, and we recommit in our own quiet way to living in a manner that honours those who came before us. Not perfectly, but consciously, and with an understanding of what has been given to us, lest we forget.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant. That was a magnificent speech, and I think we'd all agree there was so much to appreciate in that. That was magnificent. I'll now call on Priest Warden Marion Barker from the Barham, from the Anglican Church to lead us in the Lord's Prayer. Please stand for the Lord's Prayer.
The Lord's Prayer. Let's say this together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours, now and forever. Amen.
Oh, no, sorry. Remains. Thank you very much, Mary. And now, the last hymn, O God, our help in ages past. Please sit just briefly. Well, thank you for your attendance, ladies and gentlemen. I think we all feel a lot better to see that this is the thing that all Australians feel very, very strong for. And just to wind up now, thank you, Mark, and musician. That was just absolutely magnificent. There'll be just a couple of things here. The Barham Community Choir, thank you ladies and gentlemen. Also Ian Troy and the Hall Committee for setting up the hall. There's a number of things that are done, and they're not huge things, but when they all add up, it just puts the whole ceremony together. And also Marie Whelan, who has taken on the management or the administration of the afternoon tea. And also Laura, who on very, very short notice took on the video of the ceremony. The video has, the ceremony will be videoed and it'll be on YouTube. It'll be put on Everything Wakool, so if anyone wants to watch it again or forward it to any family or friends, it's there. So now there is afternoon tea after the ceremony at the bullring, back here of course. We will now proceed behind the Bendigo Highland Pipe Band and the Cloud. Now if anyone wants to and feels so inclined, there is a donation container in the back corner. If anyone wants to make a donation, just a few expenses that people are welcome to assist with if they like. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And finally, when we leave, please grab your chair and stack it against the wall so that Marie and her helpers and Trunky can just put the table and so forth in place. And just a small detail, some of the chairs are slightly different. You have a black tape on the back of it, and that's the chairs at the front. Keep those together because they're a different model to the others. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That's
should be. It doesn't surprise me all these bagpipes.
Yeah, right.
So thanks for that.
No,
I'm going to wind up here.
you're right, no worries.
video then when they go up as well. So you just jiggle around and all that sort of stuff. You can take it off the tripod if you want.
Oh, I'll keep it on there.
Barham Primary School. Return Services Club. Barham RSL. Sorry. Annette Dow on behalf of Senator Claire O'Neill. Wakool and District Services Memorial Sports Club. Lieutenant Luke McClay. Murray River Council. Descendants of returned serviceman Len McClay. good thing to remember the things that our ancestors did before us. Before we go, just a few thank yous. The Bendigo Highland Pipe Band and Cloud McClay Pipe Band, another great performance, and thank you so very much. George Rathbone, thank you again, George, and George's assistant, Kat Fox. Well done, George. Kat. Thank you, Graham Smith, for the trumpet, another great performance, Graham. And of course, Campbell, the ode, one of the main parts of Anzac Day, of course. And also the Nick and Kelly Barant for the flag, who provided not only for Anzac Day but for all occasions at Wakool. And there is afternoon tea at the hall, of course. The Wakool Hotel has great hospitality. For anybody that has ever been there, they'll know that. And the Wakool Club, same again. Another great venue for this great town. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, and have a good day. Oh.